So now, fellow Toastmasters and guests, Lillian Courtney has a speech called Sour but Not Sweet. So with a speech called Sour but Not Sweet, please welcome Lillian Courtney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, President, Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, judges, and guests. So my speech today is sour to sweet. And I could have phrased it completely different, but the taste upon my tongue at the time of thinking about it gave it more of an expressive phrase. So my story began in December 2019 when the closest friend of mine, so young, actually died. And what actually happened is that she died. She had been suffering terribly all for months, but she died totally unexpectedly. Now, she was a person that if she actually walked into a room, her character was very humble and silent, and she would just gel into the crowd. But if you peeled off all the layers of her life, her character inside was absolutely so colorful and so much fun that it showed, because she actually organized her own funeral. From the very minute to the very end of the 4 days, she wanted an actual Irish genuine wake. So what actually happened was that all of us got together, read the whole thing and said, right, this is it. We spoke to her family and we were going to go ahead and do everything that she wanted. So what actually happened is that she went to the funeral home. Everybody turned up. They were all praying with their prayer books, and people from all around gathered to say hello and goodbye to her. There were people from afar and people from her own area, which was absolutely unbelievable to see people there to look at her and say goodbye. The one thing is that where she wanted to be laid out was 20 miles away in her son's house, which was where she wanted to sit and be laid out at the bay window. And if you look around, it was 360 degrees up on a valley. And when you look out at all the beautiful 40 shades of green fields in front of you, and the old Irish stone walls were absolutely beautiful. And all you could see in front of you was just green land and cows grazing, where it was just so peaceful, and the silence where she just wanted to be laid out, at the end of her life. The night started. They came in their throngs, very posh people with loads of farms and everything around. Big cars came in. Nellie from down the road came in. She was saying, what's after happening? Is there a wake on? I haven't heard a wake for years. There was dancing, and there were people who were drinking, and they didn't even realize that their glasses were being refilled all the time. So each room was filled. One room had music, one room they were all chattering, one room had food, and the other room they were all playing and discussing. But the main room that she was laid out in, there were 2 couches, and there were people coming in and out and talking. So I was inside in the kitchen, and all of a sudden I saw this lady, very, very respectable lady, and she sat next to me and she said, I'm going in to say a few prayers. But her character and her linguistics were slightly stumbling. So I felt I better hold her and make sure that everything was okay. So I told her to sit down, and I thought she might be slightly inebriated. So I went up to my friend's son and I said, I think we might need help, because her friend needs to go in and say a prayer. So before we knew it, couldn't believe it, there she was, holding on to her other friend, who was so respectable, but literally hadn't realized that the wine had been refilled all night. And when they stood up, the 2 of them ran towards the hall, and I ran towards them, and my nephew ran towards them as well. The 2 of us were running towards her, and they were going faster and faster towards the room where my friend was laid out. We just grabbed them, but they left go. And all of a sudden, all we could see was the two couches in between and the two ladies, her best friends, tearing up. And one of them fell into the coffin and her head was stuck on top of my friend's chest. All of a sudden, another gentleman caught hold of her and the coffin turned sideways. We were there and the other lady turned around and she was saying, let me see, let me see, let me pray. On one side, we had people going in shock. And on the other side, we were all other people were hysterical laughing. This was exactly the wake that she wanted. But all of a sudden, without us knowing, trying to organize the coffin to put it back, there was the First Lady saying, let's take a selfie. We need to get this before she's buried. So the other guy, the other son, grabbed the top of the coffin and stood behind the two ladies in between the coffin and got the actual photo. And the woman took the photograph. But thanks be to God, she hadn't taken the photograph of my friend. But my friend had actually organized everything. We laughed, we danced until all hours of the night. And in the middle of the morning, we all fell asleep, but we woke up to the sound of pounding music. And what was it? It was actually Barry Manilow. And I ran into the room saying, oh my God, this is so disrespectful. But she had organized it all and everyone was dancing inside. They took her away and we walked out to the gate. It was the most amazing night I had ever had. And she had organized after the funeral an unbelievable wedding style 5 course meal for everyone, where we all danced and sang until 10 o'clock at night after 3 days of partying. It was just unbelievable. So the vibrant person showed exactly how she was, and she organized her own funeral, and it showed the humble and colorful character that she was. So sour to sweet. She died, but she left an amazing feeling and spirit behind her. Thank you.